All right, who can resist dessert, especially when it's so simple to make? Chef Bill Collins is a personal chef and cooking instructor, and is going to share his recipe for walnut chocolate cookies, and they're gluten-free, which is pretty cool.
Well, a great coincidence. Yes, they are.
All right, well, welcome to the show. Now, I want to learn a little bit about you. This is kind of a second career for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I was in the computers and high tech for almost a decade. I said, I'm not having much fun. I went to cooking school, and I cooked at the old Ritz-Carlton in Boston for a couple of years. And then a little over 10 years ago, I started my own personal chef business. So here I am.
And how can people find you?
They can find me online. Most people do find my website, chefbill.com, and a lot of referrals, and it just keeps me on the road and in kitchens.
Now, will you go to someone's home and prepare dinner and do the whole shebang?
Just about everything is done in people's homes. So it's
Really?
a romantic dinner for two. I've done 4.5 marriage proposals. So
Oh, I love that!
Oh, they're great fun, yeah.
Oh, good. All right, Chef, what are we making here today?
What we're doing it's a chocolate walnut cookie from the great bakery Payard in New York, and I've adjusted it just a little bit. I mean, it's such a spectacular cookie, but it's a very simple cookie, and it's, as I said, it's not only is it gluten-free, there's no butter in it, but you can never tell by tasting it how healthy it is.
This is a healthy cookie. I
It's
like the sound of that,
borderline
right?
healthy. So what we're going to do is, I've already got the ingredients out here, is starting with confectioner sugar. And in making it gluten-free, there's no flour, but there's a lot of dry ingredients. We've got upwards of 3 cups of confectioner sugar, and about a half a cup of cocoa powder. Now the thing is, you might be inclined to say, well, gee, it's so powdery, I don't need to sift it. You definitely want to sift it, because what happens is you get little bits in confectionery sugar and cocoa that just never break up. And
that's a step I usually skip.
Exactly, and I sometimes do too.
But you should do it for this recipe.
Yep, whenever you're using those two. And so also, so I just like to kind of put it in just a regular little strainer like this, because I can never remember to bring my sifter with me, and it goes very quickly. Now, the second step of this is once you get everything all combined, all sifted like that, and I've already put in the little bit of salt.
Okay.
And see those little bits left in there?
Got it.
The next step is you want to take a whisk and just combine it so everything is all mixed together evenly. The reason you want to do that is because you don't want to overbeat this. Okay. There's not a lot of liquid. If you overbeat it, it can make it a tough cookie. And tough cookies only work in old 1940s movies. So what you want to do is just add some of the egg white.
Wait, no, you didn't have to beat the egg white ahead of time or anything?
No, and that's the great thing. You don't have to beat it beforehand. And actually, one thing I wanted to do is put the nuts in first, and mix them with the chocolate, but that'll be going there fine. See, that's another great secret about this. Just about every recipe with egg whites, you get them all whipped up and frothy, and that's what gives you...
With the little peaks, right? That's
exactly,
how it works.
And that's what gives you the loftiness, the lightness of it. But in this case, it's a chewy cookie, so it just all gets thrown in there. And so you can see already we're about, maybe a minute into it, and it's almost all combined.
Okay.
The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the vanilla. And this actually has a lot of vanilla in this, about upwards of a tablespoon, and that's more than you see in most recipes. But that's fine too. It's what part of all the flavors with the sugar and the cocoa. And with the wooden spoon, just kind of combine everything together, and you can see, you're thinking, gee, it's awfully dry, nothing's happening. But it's going to come together awfully quickly.
Okay.
And that's why you don't want to use an electric mixer, because again, that will be overbeating it. And see how all of a sudden it's starting at the bottom there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all starting to come together. It's starting to get a little thicker here. And it goes from a light colored powdery thing to all of a sudden, see, it's all just almost all combined.
Now, are there any different varieties you could use? Maybe different types of nuts? Or?
Yes, because actually, if somebody has a nut allergy, a tree nut allergy, very often when that happens, there's not a peanut allergy, because those aren't a tree nut. See, it's all combined and done. And so this works very well with peanuts, because peanuts and chocolate are a great combination too.
Is.
So, and so now it's all mixed up and all ready to go. And now you want to put it on the sheet pan with parchment paper. Now, sometimes you might be inclined to skip the parchment paper because you figure, well, I'll just spray the pan, because most cookie recipes, you spray the pan.
Sure.
But because this is a chewy and almost a sticky cookie when it comes out, when it's still warm, it'll stick to the pan. You'll need a chisel to get it off.
So you definitely need the parchment paper.
Definitely want to go with the parchment paper. And so what you want to do is large spoonfuls, large teaspoonfuls, fill up the whole spoon, and just drops right on. You want to put them, 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart, because that way, when they spread out a bit, you won't end up with one massive cookie on here.
I like how you're using 2 spoons, because typically I would try to just
exactly
push it off and it wouldn't work.
And then you end up, having just a mess everywhere. So practice tells me 2 spoons, one to scoop it out and one to take it off of the cookie.
All right. I guess you're trying to make them all the same size so they cook evenly?
Generally, and you don't need to measure them out, because I know some people can be crazy with their recipes and measure out the exact amount. And but a good size, and you don't even have to be a perfect round scoop, because it's going to have a nice little shape to it. It won't be perfectly round, but it doesn't have to be. It'll find its own shape once the heat hits it.
Now, how many cookies are we making here?
We're going to be total, I'm just going to do this one pan, but this recipe has a yield of about 26, 27 cookies when you make them this size. If you want more, what you'll need to do is just make smaller ones. And it'll cook just fine. Just bake it for a little bit shorter.
Okay. And what do you have the oven preheated to?
I have the oven preheated to 325 degrees. That's almost the standard for baking. Some recipes go higher, some lower, but that's the general rule of thumb.
These look good already before they're even cooked.
I know they're supposed to, they say, don't test to eat raw batter because of the eggs and everything,
That's
but
true.
Every now and then it might happen. You accidentally taste it, and it really is a very tasty batter in and of itself.
All right.
So now these are ready to go in the oven. I'm going to do this, and thanks to the miracle of television.
Oh, we have some made already. What do you know?
Look what we have here.
Oh,
I'm
they
just
look
going to take
wonderful.
my towel. Yep.
And of course, we'll have the recipe online at WTNH.com. Just click on Style.
And lo and behold,
Gluten-free chocolate walnut cookies.
gluten-free chocolate walnut cookies. You can tell when they're done. And this is the big thing, because many cookies, if you're doing like a chocolate chip cookie, it's a little brown around the bottom and you want to take it out then. These don't change color. But you see it's starting to crack a little bit at the top. And that crack tells you it's time to come out of the oven.
Great.
And so this way, and also the best...
That's your chisel?
This is my chisel. This is actually like a $2 little cookie lifter. Somebody gave me this, and I said, I don't really need one.
It's a great tool.
These are perfect, because the bigger ones are a little too big for cookies, so and it just comes right up, and it'll go right onto the rack like that.
All right, Chef Bill, we're going to try these at the end of the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate you inviting me.
All right.